the bag.
Okay, and
So this gun is shooting an X-ray down into the bag, and then it comes
are you
back.
sure it's an X-ray? X-ray is not going to help. It's not an X-ray. There's no way it's an X-ray.
It's called an X-ray fluorescence gun.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it's an actual X-ray, is it?
I think
It should be mass spectrometry, you know?
Ray cannot penetrate lead, obviously.
I'm sorry?
Ray will not go through lead.
Yeah, but it's not just the lead that they're trying to.
No, it's about 21 different elements. Right now I have it on the ROS-WE setting, so it tests for the chemicals that are regulated
Okay.
under ROS-WE.
Okay, let's see.
So what it's telling me is
Yes. What did we get?
that 87 parts per million lead, which is not terrible.
Nothing to worry
Pediatricians
about.
say you want to stay under 40 parts per million, so you know you don't want to be hanging around kids a lot with the bag. It's not a big deal though. Anything under 300 is probably okay, especially if it's not.
So what are you proposing here over here? You're a proponent of polyvinyl chloride?
No. So
You're-
actually, the only thing is you have some like the chromium levels, but
So everything's good, right?
so the bag looks good.
Okay. So what's-
I'm
what
actually
are we
with
trying
the
to
Center
do?
for Environmental Health,
And what does it mean?
and we work on trying to protect kids, communities, health in the environment from toxic chemicals. And we do that by testing products and working with companies that are trying to do the right thing to help them do better. And with companies that aren't doing the right thing, we sue them and try to get them to do the right thing that way.
And
We also work on legislation in order to.
But who is there to determine what is good and what is bad? What levels are good and what levels are bad? Sometimes people just go overboard. Well, do you believe in global warming?
I do believe so.
So you think that the science has been settled, that the global warming is here to stay?
Do I think it's here to stay? I think there's significant human impact on global warming.
You think that we humans, we impact the changes in the global climate? Are you serious? Really? What was here?
Do you disagree with me?
What do you think was here before I answer that? Of course I do. What was here some 10,000 years ago? I mean, the same exact spot where we are right now. What was here?
I
New
can't
York.
tell you 10,000 years ago.
Do you know?
I don't.
Do you know
That
that
exact
the
point in
dinosaurs were roaming the planet some 65 million years ago? You know that.
Okay.
So I'm bringing you much, much closer, like only 10,000
Right.
years ago.
Right.
You know that there was ice shield,
Right.
some mile and a half high, right here, the same spot where we are right now. Where is it?
Do you have me on video right
Yeah.
now? What is this for?
Just for my own pleasure.
For your pleasure. Okay. I mean, I can have a conversation with you offline about this. My organization doesn't work on climate change, and I don't want to represent that.
Well, I mean, it's just simple question. I'm not even talking about DVC, as you can see. Nothing to do with the organization. I'm talking about global warming.
Right. So what do I think about global warming?
Yeah, I mean, you think that we humans, we're the ones who
So
cause
I
global
think
warming.
that 2,500 scientists have come together to
Okay,
say that
let's
there's a human
use,
influence on
let's
climate
use
change.
some
And so,
common sense.
Since I'm not a climate scientist,
But what-
I would trust the experts on that issue.
So was there a ice shield? Same scientists, more than 2,000 scientists will tell you that same exact spot where we are today, there was ice shield more than mile high, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Sure. What happened?
The Earth
happened?
breathes naturally. We go
So
through
what-
colder periods and we go through warmer periods.
That's exactly.
The problem is
Yes.
that right now we're in a
Yeah.
period where
Yes.
humans
Yes.
are releasing gases into the atmosphere,
What gases?
which is accelerating the process at a rate that's beyond Earth's natural breathing process. Gases like
Okay, let me
carbon
ask
dioxide,
you
methane.
high school question. What
Not
does
in high school, so we'll see if I can answer that.
what does our air consist of? The air that we breathe. I mean, right here.
Right,
What's the
so there's
composition?
Oxygen.
What's the
there's
percentage?
CO2.
What's the
Yeah, I don't know
percentage?
the percentage.
Okay, let's say you're saying
And I
that.
would bet that 90% of high school kids don't know the percentage.
Okay, let's. Well, I hope that they do.
Especially in the United States.
Well, we have.
We have.
So when you're saying that it's the CO2 that allegedly causes global warming,
Okay.
okay, what's the percentage of CO2
That's
is
one
there?
of the greenhouse gases.
Okay, but what's the percentage?
Of CO2 in the
Yeah.
atmosphere. I don't know.
I mean,
Do you
in
wanna
the-
tell me
in the
what's
air.
the percentage?
Well, I mean, take a guess, because you're saying it causes so much trouble. You would think that it's what, 50% or 20% or 10% or 1%? I mean, in your mind, if you don't know the exact numbers, at least some approximation.
I don't know, and quite frankly, I haven't looked at the science lately, but when I did look at the science, I think we were at like 375 parts per million. We need to be at about 350.
Okay, that's parts per million, which is
Right.
totally minuscule, but it's a percentage. The air consists of, that we breathe,
Yeah.
77% is what? Nitrogen.
Okay.
22% is
Are
what?
you a climate scientist? Is that
22% is what?
I don't know.
Oxygen.
Okay.
77 plus 22 is
Why
what?
do I feel like you're a teacher and you're like trying to school me?
So,
Which is fine, but I didn't sign up for this class.
so 77 plus 22 is how much?
77 plus 22 is 99.
99.
Right.
So we have remaining 1%, consisting of what?
The remaining 99%.
No, 1%.
1%.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Close to 1% is argon.
Is argon?
Argon.
Okay.
Okay. So where is there CO2 then when we're close to almost 100%? Where's the CO2 in this equation?
Are you saying there's no CO2 in the atmosphere?
There
Is that your theory?
No, there is. That's the theory. It's the fact. I mean, look it up. We have access to the internet. In 2 seconds, you'll know the composition of air that we breathe in the
Okay.
atmosphere. It's 0.03.
Okay.
0.03% of CO2.
Okay. So right. So that's like
So-
300 and some parts per million, depending on how you round it.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So,
like I said earlier, it's about 375 parts per million. I think we're on the same page. with that.
yeah, well, exactly. Right, right. But it's easier, I mean, when you use parts per million, for most of the people, it's hard to comprehend. I mean, what's this parts per million? Percentages are much easier to comprehend, right?
Okay.
So we're talking about 0.03% of CO2, right?
Yes.
So the point I'm trying to make is that the human beings
Yeah.
can't possibly change the climate. You know what changes the climate?
God.
No.
What is your answer for who's changing the climate?
A star that is located somewhat 93 million miles away from us,
Okay.
it's all in the sun. You know that our orbit is not really circular, it's elliptical. We're getting closer to the sun, we're getting farther away from the sun. We have volcanoes. We have volcanoes all around our continent.
So, again, this is not my field, so, you know.
Common sense. How about if we apply
But I
common
was
sense?
just listening to a talk by James Hansen, who's one of the world's leading climate
Yeah.
psychologists.
Cheater.
the other day.
Yeah.
Cheater?
Who made
No.
up this hockey stick graph? But let's forget about this.
Okay,
Just
and
common
tell me,
sense.
what are the documents that you have that represent it?
Okay, common sense is that 10.
Why aren't you answering my question?
I'm answering your question. 10,000 years ago.
You're answering my question with
Duh.
common sense.
10,000.
Are you a scientist?
In a way.
does that mean in a way?
10,000 years ago.
What does that mean in a way?
The place where we're right now.
Yeah.
There was ice.
Okay.
And it melted.
Okay.
And if there were humans, and there were humans back then, but there was no technology because we're talking about technological advancements. That's what they claim that cause CO2 emissions, like planes, like cars, like all this crap, right?
Okay.
So why did they melt? Again, common sense. Why did ice shield
I think what
melt?
you're saying and
Yes.
what I said earlier and what I continue to say are not mutually exclusive.
Yes, they are.
No.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely
Yes,
not.
they are.
Absolutely not.
Yes, they are.
The Earth absolutely goes through warming and cooling cycles.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
enjoy
On
your
its own.
SUVs, fly the planes, and worry about nothing. You know why? Because the plants actually consume the CO2. Without the CO2, they would have died. We call it
Yeah.
photosynthesis.
Unfortunately, we're also
Yes.
cutting down a lot of the plants which need to
Well,
absorb the CO2.
Well, some, yeah, but think about this
so
way.
the balance is increasingly in the wrong direction.
How about the ocean? I mean, the surface
Yeah.
versus the oceans. You know the ratio, right?
Tell me, what's the ratio? Because clearly you know all about this, so you should just school me.
Just
on it.
again, it's just common sense that Earth is only what about 1/6. The rest is the oceans,
Okay.
meaning that what 5/6 of the planet is the oceans, the water, right?
Okay.
So if let's again common sense. Now let's take this 1/6 of the planet
Yeah.
and think about where us, what about slightly more than 7 billion humans live.
Okay.
By subtracting, let's say, Siberian tundra.
Yeah.
Hardly anyone lives over there.
Okay.
Then the area of, the second largest country in the world, you know which one, right?
The second largest country in the world?
Yeah.
Which one is that?
It's Canada.
Okay.
Okay, so Russia.
By land mass? Is that-
By landmass, of course. So
I know the
Russia.
population.
So Russia is desolate. I mean, the central Russia, Siberia, all this stuff, hardly anyone lives over there. Canada, same story, right? Then let's subtract the deserts, like Sahara Desert, huge, like maybe, I don't know, 1/3, 1/4 of African continent. Nobody lives over there, right? Then there are a bunch of Antarctica. I mean, technically there's land mass, but nobody lives over there. The point I'm trying to make is that we humans live in very small areas, concentrated, yes, on the one hand, but the rest is very sparsely populated.
Okay.
How can we, mere humans, change the climate?
You totally underestimate yourself.
Okay, all right.
You have a much greater impact than your
Really?
little body
Really?
should. That's how I answer that question.
Okay, well, that's your feeling.
Because you have machines that help you with that impact.
So let's assume.
I have machines that
okay,
help me with my impact.
For argument's sake, let's say for argument's sake, let's
How
assume.
did I get into a global warming argument?
I don't know, since I don't want to talk about the PVC, which was actually my specialty, is polymers. That's what I studied.
Is that right?
Yeah, polymers.
Oh, tell me more. Do you have a
A long time ago.
Do you have also background in toxicology?
No. In the Soviet
So
Union, they didn't care. What toxicology? Are you kidding me? Toxicology, schmuxicology.
So I think that's
They
one of
pollute
the challenges
everything.
is that
But look.
chemists who are developing polymers
Yes.
are developing for
For
the
what?
efficiency of the polymer. And
What do you
it
mean
does.
efficiency of
Well, like
polymer?
what it does in a product, for example. Like the
Do you drive?
do I drive?
Yeah.
I have been known to drive. Yes.
You know what tires are made out of?
Rubber
Polymers.
and other things. Yeah.
Well, polymers,
Okay.
essentially, yeah. I mean, that was my specialty.
Oh, cool.
Polymers, you know. PVC, also polymers, my specialty. That's what I kind of studied.
Yeah.
But getting back to global warming for a change, you said you're not allowed to talk about the BBC. That's why I switched
Did I
to.
say I'm not allowed
yeah,
to
you
talk
said
about
that you cannot discuss these issues.
I just said that.
Yeah. Or maybe it was my imagination. But anyway, to
There was
finish-
something in the back of your head that said, I want to talk about global warming, so
But let's say, for argument's sake, let's say Dr. Hansen is
I want
right.
to talk more about your polymers.
We will. But let's say Dr. Hansen was right. Again, for argument's sake, but because he's not. But let's say he is. And we humans, we cause global warming. What are we to do? What's your solution then?
This is really challenging.
Your answer is?
My answer is the first thing that we need to do is be more conscious about trying to be more energy efficient.
Oh, energy efficiency is a good thing regardless.
Absolutely.
I mean, it has nothing to do with global
Win-win-win,
warming.
all the way around.
It's just the profit. I mean, profit is a good thing. That's what, moves the world.
Okay.
But global warming is a totally different thing. I mean, I'm for efficiency. Of course I am.
So then let's do energy efficiency
But
and not have an argument about global warming.
Yeah,
I'm down with that.
Yeah, but unfortunately, not the United Nations. They're gonna go, to some of the stupid conferences, requiring us, the developed countries, to give no less than trillions of dollars to the underdeveloped countries. Does it make sense to you?
Tell me about it.
Oh, I forgot you were with the PVC. So you want to talk about the PVC?
No, tell me about the transfer of trillions of dollars from developed
So
countries
you work
to-
hard, we're a developed country, and we're a developed country simply because A, we have a system that works, which is a capitalist system.
Yes.
I am a capitalist,
I
of
see
course.
that. I see that.
And for full disclosure, I came from USSR originally.
Okay.
Did I mention that? I forgot.
You said something about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the system that didn't work.
Thank you.
So if people in Africa or so-called underdeveloped countries don't want to be developed, nobody can help them. I mean, we're developed because you and I, we have a certain culture, we have a certain system. Thank God for our founding, brilliance of our founding fathers that created the system that we adopted and implemented, and we prosper. The only reason why they don't prosper, in my opinion, is because they don't want to. They don't want to. I mean, in Russia, think about it this way. When the Russians come over here, for instance, back then when I communicated with them, and back then they didn't know, and I was living over here, they didn't know, the system of the credit cards. And I tried to explain to them that when they have a credit card, it's not actually your money, it's the bank's money. But the bank trusts you. You know that, you use the bank's money and then you pay back.
Definition of trust, but okay.
Well, yeah, it is
The
because
bank has trust in the legal system.
well, absolutely, of course, they go hand in hand, absolutely, sure. But essentially, there's no recourse. If you don't pay the bank, they can get their money back. Yes, they can sue you. Yes, they can. But even then, they just write it off.
They have many avenues of trying to get their money.
Okay, but that's besides the point. It's a little bit a different issue. But the point I'm trying to make is that the Russians will come over here, instead of thinking, I explain to them, you can get the distrust because it's based on your credit history. Meaning that you borrow, you repay, you borrow, you repay. There's organizations that track this information, and therefore, the longer you're in the system, the larger sums of money the banks entrust you. You know what was the first thought of the Russians coming over here? And I'm sure, the people from other countries have the same ideas. How can I beat this system? How can I take this money without repaying it back? And that's the mindset of most people in other countries. But also, they just don't have these opportunities because the government that they're part of, after all, the country is the way where it is based on the people. We're all one. If we were different, if we were a different mindset, we would have the most prosperous country in the world that we have today, the United States of America, right? So, the countries that are underdeveloped, the problem is not us. The problem is them. Because the resources are there, and look at European countries with hardly any. Japan is one of the best examples. Japan has hardly any natural resources, and yet it's one of the most prosperous democracies in the world. The keyword being democracy, of course, because that's the system that we have over there. Plus the culture. That's what made Japan what it is today. North Korea, the best example, by the way, is North Korea, South Korea. Same people, same resources, essentially, same culture, same everything. Look at North Korea. It's the worst country in the world today. Literally, the worst. South Korea, prosperous democracy. One of the most developed countries. There is only one difference. The system. Capitalism versus dictatorship in the North. I don't know why we started talking about it.
I don't either. I was
From global warming.
Figure that out.
Okay, anyway.
So you were a polymer scientist. Tell me about that.
No, I'm not a scientist. It's just my degree, master's degree in polymers. That's what I was studying in Russia. I wanted to go to medical school, but I'm Jewish. They said, the Jews, nah.
No good at medicine.
Nah.
So then what did you do?
I became a chemical engineer.
So you're a chemical engineer?
Well, technically, yeah. I wanted to become a doctor. I couldn't.
So now, are you a chemical engineer?
No, I'm a capitalist. I have my own business.
I live in this country, therefore I'm a capitalist too. But
No, well, you're yes and no. I mean, capitalist in the sense that I do employ people. So I work for profit versus.
What's the business?
I import furniture from Brazil. Yeah, cut a tree, plant a tree.
Cut a tree, plant a tree.
Yeah, that's our motto.
That's cool. That's cool.
Actually, have to by Brazilian law. But that's what we do.
If it was not by law, would you do that?
Yeah, because it makes sense. And people don't understand that the capitalists, they are interested. I mean, for some reason, people have this stupid notion that, if we had unbridled capitalism, then they would have polluted the waters, they would have cut all the trees. I mean, wait a minute. If, let's say, in my case, for instance, I make furniture. I don't make furniture in my own plant. I buy from, the factory in Brazil. But let's say, if they were to cut all the trees in one shot, how could they continue doing business? They're the ones who are interested the most, actually, in making sure that there is sustainable growth of the trees and everything else.
Some are.
Well, those who are looking for long-term business, of course, they're poachers.
Unfortunately, our current economic system does not often reward long-term when you have to report to your shareholders for quarterly profits.
Yeah, but the corporations, they exist for hundreds of years. If
some do.
Ford is here. It's right over there. I can see resource recovery. Oh, here's an example. See, Ford is one of the oldest companies in the United States.
So part of it for me is a challenge. I mean, I think regulation is necessary. Do you not?
I'm not against regulation. Of course, I am. Reasonable regulations.
I mean, because perfect markets depend upon perfect information.
Well, no,
Unfortunately,
I am for limited regulation.
as educated as I am, which you clearly just demonstrated that I'm not very educated.
That wasn't my goal, but what did you study?
It's hard for me to keep up with all of the different decision points that are out there. And studying.
Regulations, you mean?
No. I mean, when I'm buying as a consumer, let's say.
Okay.
Right? You're ready to go.
Yes.
I'm ready to go too. Have you listened to this all day? Or do you have different stories? What's that?
Okay, well, let me get going.
I
It was
think
nice.
there is a role in government to help get information out there.
No, I'm not against the government. I'm only for small government. That's exactly my point. Limited small government, for sure. And the government, there is a role for the government, no doubt about it. And there's role for the regulations, no doubt about it. Just, within reason. That's why I started with a common sense, because certain things just make no sense. You and I, I'm sure we can save the world easily.
Sense is not always common.
What's that?
Sense is not always common.
Well, that's the problem with many people. Nice talking to you. Okay, what's your name?
Ansha.
Ansha, I'm Vladimir. See ya. Bye-bye.
Don't let that end up on